Good afternoon. My name is Yvonnia. I am a literal poet, have been writing for quite a while now, and my lives are going to be on showing you how to create poetry. I'm going to share some of the poetry that I've written over the years. This is my first TikTok live, so if I make mistakes, please do forgive me. I'm trying to get used to it all. Anyway, I'm going to flip the page and I'm going to show you or share with you some of the poetry that I've written. Again, my name is Yvonnia, and I'm going to share how to create poetry. And in these next 30 minutes, I'm also going to show you some of the poetry that I've written over the years, but most of my live TikToks will be on how to write poetry, and I will bring in one of the poems and the inspiration behind it. Anyway, again, this is my first live, so if I make mistakes, please forgive me. I'm going to flip the camera and share with you some of the poetry that I've written, and I will also, before it's over, show you how to write poems or poetry. All right. I'm trying to figure out how to flip the camera around, and I don't see it. What's going on? Okay, flip camera. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is turn us on some music. Okay, the first poem that I wrote was actually a body of poems. It was called Do Tell Someone, and what I did was I took not only my sexual abuse story, but quite a few others as well. You will even recognize some of them if you purchase the book. Inside of this book is over 100 poems, and what I did was I took people's devastating experience and rewrote it in a poetic format. I'm going to share one of the stories called Tell. And what happened was, when I shared with people that I was writing the book, they in turn shared with me their story, which ended up being a part of the book. This particular one is called Tell. As a young girl, I was forewarned by my dear mother to come to her and tell if ever I was bothered. Home from kindergarten, about to take a nap, my uncle sat in a chair, exposed with his legs agap. He asked if he could put that awful thing in me. As loud as I could, I began to scream. Startled, he turned his head. I ran like a bat out of hell. Stayed out until my sister came, and first thing I did was tell. Dad told him, be glad you didn't. Finish up what you started. Right now you'd be dead. With that, he quickly parted. After that, we never saw him again. It's too bad you can't even trust your kin. So that's one of over 100 stories that is inside of this book called Do Tell Someone. Unfortunately, it has been happening for a very long time. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. It continues to happen. It goes back to the Bible days. Anyway, you can look and hear. It's not quite an audio yet, but if you go to my YouTube page, hit Do Tell Someone, and you'll get more of the story. And if you would like to order the book, you can go to my website and order it from there. We haven't made it into an audio yet, but we are working on it. So if you purchase it, you will automatically get the audio once it have been created. Anyway, another body of work that I have created is called God is Everything. Each one of the poems, not only in this book, but this one as well, each one of the poems is written in a poetic format. It calls us for easy reading, and your kindergartner, if your kindergartner can read, will be able to understand it because it is written in a very simple poetic format. Every single poem is written in poetic format. And anyway, after I got all of the anger, the hurt, and the pain out of my system in writing this book, it was also therapeutic. Then I was able to go on and write other books. And so the second book that I wrote is God is Everything, and it is also written in a very comprehensive poetic format. It is biblically inspired. All of the poems are, well, most of the first chapter is written about our dear Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. The first chapter, anyway, the name of the book is God is Everything, Omnipotent, Omnipresent, Omniscient, and that is also the name of the first chapter. And it is all about Jesus coming to earth from his conception all the way to his ascension back into heaven. Trying to remember what page he stops at. Anyway, the entire book is written in poetry as well. Again, the first chapter is all about Jesus and his coming to earth to save us from our sin. And it goes right up into his ascension back up into heaven. And chapter 2 is just about different situations. And again, the entire book is written in a poetic format. It is biblically inspired, the first chapter, and then all the other chapters are inspired about different people's life situations. Anyway, I'm going to go over to a poem that I wrote. I'm going to show you how I put it together. The name of this poem is called Must Hold On, and it was literally inspired by my first teenage son. Anyway, I like writing poetry that rhymes. There are different kind of poets, but I gravitated toward the rhythm method of writing poetry. Anyway, I was at home one day minding my own business. I had a son who was a teenager. He thought I was mean and he wanted to go to foster care. So when I got the call from the foster care lady, I was devastated. I thought the world had ended. Anyway, I kept walking over a single page that had fallen out of my Bible. It was 2 Corinthians 12:9. I finally picked it up, and it gave me some relief. Sometimes when you write a poem, the title will come out first. Sometimes you might get the introduction, the body, or the conclusion. But for me that day, after I read 2 Corinthians 12:9, the title automatically came. Back then, I did not have a computer, so I wrote on a piece of paper, must hold on. And I was washing dishes, so I tried to finish washing them. But when something is pressing on your mind, it's going to come out. And that is the case when you write poetry. So what I did in trying to finish washing the dishes, I wrote down the first stanza, which is, you must hold on to God when things start getting rough. Okay, well, that's the first one. That's the first stanza. I look at writing a poem as writing an essay. Think back to your high school English days when you had to first learn how to write an essay. Well, maybe you might have learned in the junior high, but I learned really well in high school. So the first stanza was, you must hold on to God when things start getting rough. And what I do is I go with second line, make it rhyme. Second line, make it rhyme. So this rough word, I would just come up with something that would rhyme with rough. So I came up with, you must hold on to God when things start getting rough. And then this automatically came. So I wrote, because His grace alone is sufficient enough. And again, second line, make it rhyme. And with the next line, because His grace alone is sufficient enough. You must hold on to God when things start getting rough, because His grace alone is sufficient enough. Second line, make it rhyme. Second line, make it rhyme. That is how I write poetry. I go through each and every last letter of the alphabet till I get one that is befitting. And because my heart was broken and I thought the end of the world had come because that first teenage son wanted to go to foster care because he thought I was mean, this poem automatically came out again. The title came out first. Anyway, after I got this part, I tried to finish washing the dishes. But again, the entire thing was eating at me. So what I did was I was able to come up with the second stanza. Let me try to get all of this on this. Okay, there it is. Anyway, I couldn't finish washing the dishes, and so the next part of the poem came, and I didn't have a computer at that time, so I wrote it down. If you want to become a poet, keep a pencil and paper nearby. Because when that thought comes, you have to get it out of your head, or it will stay inside, shooting around your brain like marbles. So you have to get it out. If you have your phone nearby, just type it into your phone, but you have to get it out of your brain, because once you sit down, if you do not write it immediately, you're going to sit down and it will have left the building. So you have to write it down. Type it in your phone if your phone is all you have. But if you want to become a poet and thoughts come to your brain, you have to get them out before they leave. Because sometimes if I don't write it down, when I sit down and try to write it down, I can't remember. So you have to write it down immediately. So anyway, I continued to try to wash the dishes. His strength is made perfect. At times when you are weak came out. So I tried to wash more dishes, and then the next line came out. So I grabbed my pencil and paper and I wrote it down. It was near nighttime, and so I was able to finish washing the dishes, but again, it was pressing on my mind because most of my poems have at least 3 stanzas. Introduction is what I call that first part. This would be the body, and then I went to bed. I go to bed early and I wake up early, but this poem was not finished, and it was on my brain. So when I woke up the next morning, it had formulated inside of my brain, so I was able to write the rest of the poem down. And it reads, it's during those weak times God will be right along with all his loving grace right there to keep you strong. Again, if you want to become a poet, you must write out your thoughts while they are fresh inside of your brain. And the entire poem reads, must hold on. You must hold on to God when things start getting rough, because his grace alone is sufficient enough. His strength is made perfect at times when you are weak. Tighten your grip on him when at your lowest peak. It's during those weak times God will be right along with all his loving grace, right there to keep you strong. And again, this was inspired by a single page that had fallen out of my Bible, 2 Corinthians 12:9. It has helped a lot of people. What you also want to do once you create a poem is you want to beautify it. Now, I did not pull up where I actually beautified it. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see, browse. I'm going to go to this computer. I'm going to put in, must hold on. See if I can find one of the poems where I actually beautified it. You don't want it to just stay an old plain poem. You want to make it beautiful. Let me see if this is it. Okay, that's a little fancy, but I've done better. Anyway, once you make your poem, make it beautiful. Now, I had teenagers, or actually one teenager at the time, so what I would do is I would beautify the poem, I would print it out, and then go get it laminated, and it is a literal product to sell. We sold these at $5 a pop. And that's a lot of money. Back in those days, this is back in the 90s, for a child. People support children. And so we have sold many of these poems in the Bay Area. Anyway, again, at the time I started to write poetry, there was a book in the library called How to Become a Poet. And I grabbed it, and it is what worked for me. I also grabbed all of Maya Angelou's books, all of her poetry books in particular, but because I had already read and gotten through How to Become a Poet, then that is the book that did it for me. Now, there are other books. I have looked for that one recently, and it's no longer on the shelf. What you want to do if you want to become a poet is you also want to study other poets' style. Not to copy, but so that you can become or get accustomed to how or what kind of poet you want to be. Anyway, that is how I started writing poetry. But I like the rhythm method. If you look again, every second line is making it rhyme. And I just ran with the rhythm of being a poet. Not all of my poems are biblically inspired, but this one definitely was. You remember when you were a teenager, and if you are now a parent, you remember the pure hell you may have gone through. When you're a teenager, start doing some of the same crap that you used to do. Anyway, today is my first live. I am trying to get used to it, but my lives will be mostly about showing you how to write poetry. Does anybody have any questions? Anyway, if you would like to buy any of the books, I have quite a few of them. This would be the very first one that I wrote. It's called Do Tell Someone. It caused a lot of depression. I had no idea it was going to have that effect on me, but it did. But it also served as therapy. Writing has become my therapeutic outlet. Other people might paint, run, jog. You got to do something to get the pain and the anger out of your system. It does not belong there. Remain virtuous. I think I meant to put up here, this is one of my poems, but I think I meant to put up, there's a poem in Do Tell Someone called Victim's Prayer. I thought that was that, but it wasn't. Anyway, inside of Do Tell Someone, there's a victim's prayer. And it's absolutely free. Anyway, after I was able to get out all of the anger and the pain and the hurt that had been living in my conscience for quite a number of years, I was able to start writing poetry in a format that was fun and not depressing. And that's what this is. This is Jovel Reed. It's about a little boy who learned how to read, and he just took off with his reading venture. And the entire book, again, is written in an easy, comprehensive format. And this one is the child's book, so the vocabulary is very easy. And this one is also an audio book. So if you have young ones, kids or grandkids, check it out. It's a very fun book about a little boy who learned how to read and thought it was swell. It's one of the many poetry books that I have written over the years. This is a book inspired by a little girl. This was her second birthday party, and she was just done with having fun. It was her first birthday party. This was called Jada Marie's birthday. And this is her about 2 years later having her birthday party, her first birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. And boy, did she have a lot of fun. This is Jada Marie's Halloween. And this was her very first trick-or-treat at the shopping center, and boy, did she have a lot of fun with all of that candy. And again, the books are written all in poetry. Now, this book is her first trick-or-treat, and she was fine with all of the candy. This is her. This next one is her. Exactly 2 years later. She was was she 4? Yes, she was 4 at this time. But when she saw that wolf, she thought he was real, and she became a track star. She took off running. She thought he was real. Now, this book is on the website, and it is also audio. So when you order the book, you will automatically get the audio while you wait for the physical to come in the mail. But this is another fun children's book as well. And again, it is written entirely in poetry. All of the books are written in a comprehensive, poetic format. This is another birthday party. And it's about Jamar, who had a ball at his 3rd birthday party. And Even when winter came, he would get up and put back on that outfit that reminded him of that very, very happy third birthday. Now, this book is about our first African American president. And whether you believe it or not, if you can believe, the entire book is written in a poetic format. This one is also audio. You'll get an automatic audio, and you can also listen to this on my YouTube page. But the entire book, from Barack Obama's childhood until he became President of the United States of America, the entire book is written in a poetic format, which causes easy understanding and reading for children. This is a great book. It is called Believe You Can, and it is inspired by Barack himself. Having a dream when he was young and fulfilling it. All dreams are made or can become reality, because he literally thought of becoming president when he was a little boy. You can find most of the books on my TikTok page. Well, not my TikTok page. I'm sorry. On TikTok, you can find some of my short videos. And it's under Shane Publications with 2 B's and an S at the end. So I'm on TikTok. Also, you can find me on YouTube with the same name, Shane Publications with 2 B's and an S at the end. And back to square one, this is the very first book that I wrote. Do Tell Someone, Inner Turmoil Surrounding Sexually Abused Victims by Yvonnia Houston. Anyway, this again is my very first TikTok live. I am trying to get used to it. And I thank everyone for coming. You can visit my website. Again, it's Shane Publications. Find all of the books that I have written in a poetic format. This is the only book that I've written that's not poetry. It is called Boyfriend, Teenage Love, and this one we hope to make into a movie one day very soon. It is a true story. But all of the other books most of them are children's books, except these two, and well, God is Everything can't be a children's book. If you got your child into the Bible, it can be a children's book. But most of the books that we've written, or that I've written, are written in an entire poetic format. Again, that is going to be my niche. I would like to show other people how to write poetry. Again, if you want to be a rhythm poet, remember, second line, make it rhyme. 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 That is how I came to become a poet, when I fell in love with the rhyming. Anyway, if you have any questions, you can contact me or ask me right here. I'm ready. Does anybody have any questions? Anyway, again, this is my first live TikTok. I thank you all for coming, stopping by. Look forward to the next one. Now that I'm a little used to it, let me see if I can flip this page back over. Let me see. I don't see how to flip it back over. Let me see more. Okay, flip camera. Anyway, thank you all for coming. This is my first live TikTok, and if I made any mistakes, please do forgive me. Anyway, I will see you next live TikTok, which I don't know what it'll be. It might be tomorrow. And I'll try to have a different poem up there and show you how it was created. Thank you all for coming. Again, I don't know if I made mistakes. If I did, please forgive me. I am signing off. Have a very blessed and wonderful day. And again, do go to my YouTube, TikTok and YouTube. Go to my YouTube and TikTok page. I must go back and share them with you. Actually, I can actually take you to YouTube. I mean, my TikTok page. Let me see. TikTok, where you at? Okay, what I did on my TikTok page is I have taken a lot of the poems and just took segments of them and made poems out of them. I mean, you know, just little segments. This is my TikTok page. But when I first began, it was mostly segments of the poems from God Is Everything. Anyway, visit my TikTok page and you'll see what I'm talking about. In doing so, taking a segment of the poem, I also found a beautiful religious inspired song to go with it. When I first began, I didn't know that I could go more than 60 seconds. And then when I realized I could go 2 minutes, then it got a little longer at the end. I'm trying to get to the bottom, but it just keeps going and going and going. Anyway, this is what my TikTok page looks like. They're mostly religious and inspirational, and sometimes just personal thoughts come across my mind, and I will write it out and put it with a musical background and throw it up here. So this is my beginning journey of TikTok. Again, I did not know that you could go more than 60 seconds when I first began. So most of the earlier ones are like under 60 seconds. But as I start getting to know more and more, then I start putting them up here in 2 minutes. And I've found so many songs in looking for a song to be for the background. I've ran across so many beautiful songs that I actually found here on TikTok. Let me turn off Trying to turn my music off. Where are you at? Okay, I'm going to take this one off and I'll give you a sample of what I've done with my TikTok pages. Okay, this one here is from the book God is Everything. And what I did is I wrote part of it and then found a beautiful song to go with it. And again, I didn't know that I could go more than 18 seconds, I guess. Let me see if I can find another one. Oh, here go another beautiful one. Again, it's only 18 seconds, though.
How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Sound like we got some do tell someone reading in the background. Where are you? Okay, let me turn that off. And we'll go back over here and I'll show you what I've done with some of my TikTok pages. And this again was at the beginning. See if I can find a really favorite one. Precious Children. I think this here. Anyway, I didn't know in the beginning when I started that I could go more than 18 seconds. So the beginning ones are 18 seconds, and then when I got more knowledgeable, then I start putting a longer background with the music. Let me see, this one is a beautiful one. Let me see. So I can do all things. 60 seconds long.
I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me.
I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. I can do all the things He said I can. Come on.
I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Oh, yes, oh, yeah.
I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ. Anyway, I'm just giving you a sample. Of my TikTok pages. When I first began, I did not know you can go up to a whole minute with the musical. So that's why the beginning ones are only 18 seconds. As I learned that I could go a whole minute, then I start putting a whole minute on the background. That's not one of the favorites, but it's one of them.
Well,
oh, this is a real good one.
With my mind, and it was stay on Jesus. I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stay on Jesus. I woke up this morning with my mind, and it was stay on Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Anyway, this is just a sample of some of my TikTok pages. Please visit, give it a like, and do some sharing. I'd really appreciate it.
Father's plea.
Again, this is just a sample of
Fathers,
some
please.
of my TikTok pages.
Do not discipline your children while you're angry. I guarantee you it will never come out right. Wait until you're calm, cool, collected, and logical again.
Anyway, please share, please like, and again, thank you for coming. All right, this is going to be the last one. You can visit Shane Publications on TikTok and enjoy all I have written so far. Anyway, thank you all for coming and sharing with me my very first live.
Ladies, if you don't have no man, don't be afraid to get with a man that got a ready-made family. He had 4 babies. I wasn't upset about it. I thought I'd make a cute step auntie. All I'm telling you men, you need to teach your babies how to deal with other adults. Because one weekend I was with him, he had the babies. All I said to him is, go wash up, we about to eat. The littlest one took the bottle out of his mouth and went, we ain't got to do what you say, you not our mama. I said,
Trying to figure out how to flip the camera. All right, again, thank you all for coming. This is my first live TikTok, and I thank you and hope to see you soon. I will probably be ready to do the second one tomorrow. And God bless you from the Bay Area in California. Have a blessed day. Okay, let me look at this message first. One new message. Check requirement. I'm not sure what that means. Okay. All right. See you next time. Bye-bye. How do I end?